Hey, it's Ryan Prescott with Stock Market Starters. And of course, today we are back talking about our interesting trade of the week and what I think is probably the most frustrating type of trade. And especially for new traders, the type of trade that can actually get you into the most amount of trouble. So let's hop in and take a look. So, as you can see here, we were looking this week at NEE, Next Era Energy. And the interesting thing about NEE is that I've actually traded this twice in about the last month. So, right, what we're looking at here, and let me go to a daily chart with what I want to do is pull my studies. Remove all studies, perfect. And then you can see exactly what I was looking at. So, what I was looking at here was this uptrend, right, on NEE. So, this is the uptrend that we were looking at, and it's a little more clear without the EMAs on it in this case. So that's why I want to show that. But with EMAs, here's what we're looking at, right? Here's our uptrend. And what I was looking at is a buy this day. I saw it, wanted to buy it this day. It opened around the right spot, started moving up a little bit, and I bought. So not a bad spot to buy, right? Good spot to buy. And as we can see, it would have worked out quite well if I would have stayed in the stock. But I set my stop loss right down here. I saw, I stopped there, stopped here, there. Now, I don't really want to let it go below this box. That was my thinking at the time. And so that's where I set my stop loss. So what happened is, of course, it opened, moved up a little bit, dropped down for a while during the day, hit the 20 days, went in, and then it bounced back up. Now, when it was on its way down, it stopped me out for a loss, right? So I lost a little bit of money on this. Nothing, nothing substantial, nothing that would worry me, just my regular stop loss amount. But here's where it gets interesting. It dropped there. I got out at basically here, right? Basically here, and then it dropped farther and then came back up. Now, it came back up and ended up closing positive. So I was kind of kicking myself. Man, that's, I had it right, but got stopped out. So for me, not the end of the world. But here's what happens a lot of times with new traders is they'll say, oh man, it's going the way that I want. I missed it. My stop loss was bad. And then look at this. Like, look how much money I could have made, right? Which, I mean, to be fair, okay, that's like $8 or whatever. So not a tremendously huge amount, but that's like 1% of my entire account. On this trade would have been even higher than that, would have been about 10%. I think that's right. But what's crazy is like, okay, so think about this. If we have 5%, 5% on the trade, which, what am I thinking of that? Oh yeah, $5. Okay, so 5% on the trade, about a 0.5% here on the account. So not a huge move, right? But what traders see is, hey, it got stopped out and it's just running up. Now, there's a valuable lesson here. The lesson is, hey, the same thing happened here, right? I got stopped out on this candlestick earlier than I should have gotten stopped out because look at that. It went up, made it all the way through my profit target, went even higher. Perfect, right? Did the same thing again this week. So here's what happens with a lot of new traders is they'll see the lesson. Hey, my stop out was a little bit too high on this. So maybe I need to adjust my stop out level, give it a little bit more room to move. That may be true, but what happens a lot of times is new traders especially will say, man, I keep getting stopped out and then watching the market run on me. And then what they do is they stop setting stop outs. And the next trade they take, right, it'll be doing the exact same thing, but instead of coming back up off the 20-day, it'll go through the 20-day and it'll come down to the 50-day. And it'll say, uh-oh, right now I've lost a lot of money, but man, I've had these bad stop outs. Surely it'll come back, right? I'm sure it'll come back. And maybe they'll pick a spot and say, hey, look at that. Hey, there was a low area in here, right? It won't go below there. Or, well, that's not really what it would be, but like the 50-day. They'll find a spot and they'll say, well, if I kind of squint and turn my eyes just right, you can see that there's sort of this little area right here. I'm sure it won't go below that, right? And like, granted, you can make those arguments and sometimes it'll turn there. But more often what happens is it'll go, nope, just kidding. We're going to come all the way down here. And by the time it comes all the way down here, now that new trader who no longer sets stop losses because they got stopped out too much is going to be down, I don't know, what would that be from here? That's down now 11%, right? So they'd be down a pretty substantial chunk of that trade. And now they're going, well, gosh, it's down so far, I might as well just hold. And then what happens is stock drops like this. And now they're down 30 or 40% and they stop it out. And then what happens? And then what happens is they stop it out right at the bottom and it comes back up like this. and they say, oh, I knew I shouldn't have stopped out, right? But they've taken a huge loss because they didn't take in a small stop loss at the beginning, and they got bit a couple of times where they got out, and then the stock did exactly what they thought it was going to do, which is exactly what happened to me the last week here, and then the week before there, right? That's exactly, or a couple weeks before there. It's exactly what happened to me. But the thing is, right, I've had a little bit of time in this stuff, right? I've been trading for a decade, and I kind of understand how this works. Is that, hey, that's fine, right? Maybe I do need to adjust my stop loss. But the truth is, hey, if I'm not taking stop losses, I'm going to take really big losses. And I understand, yeah, I could have made some money here. But the truth is, there's going to be another trade like this, right, next week. There was probably 10 trades like this week that I could have had. And so, do I need to be worried about it? No. And was my stop loss able to protect me from the potential of further downside? Yes, it was. So, was the stop loss valuable? Yes, it was. And so, anyway, this is really interesting. I think yeah, I don't know. Kind of a bummer to get stopped out on two of them right before they run up and do exactly what I wanted them to. But right, it happens. It's part of trading, part of the game. And I think really for a lot of people, this right here is why so many new traders or beginner traders end up just losing money. And I know this to be true, right? I know somebody who I've talked with before, and they told me that at one point they had a $30,000 trading account, and they lost basically the entire thing because of this problem. Right now, there's a little more to it, but essentially it was this: they were trading options, so they were using leverage, and they went from, hey, I kind of understand how the market works, started using options, and then did this where they said, hey, I don't need to take a stop loss. I took a huge position. I didn't take my stop loss when I needed to, and now it's way down. So I might as well just hold it and see what happens. It kept dropping and kept dropping and kept dropping. I think they got out at like a $25,000 loss or something ridiculous like that on like a $30,000 account. So right, kind of a horror story, not something to be done. Now in this person's defense, they are like actually they've kept going. It's been a long time since that was the case, and they've kept investing, kept learning, kept growing, got into crypto, got into some other stuff. So like it's not like it's the end of the world if this does happen. But I say that because, hey, I don't want to be the guy who says, hey, I'm not taking stop losses, so now I'm going to lose money. Now, there are other things, right? Like I'm not putting my entire account into any given trade. I'm not putting $30,000 into any given trade, right? Not yet, anyway. I don't have that much to trade with yet. That I'm willing to put that much into any trade. But right, you can see how this works and why this right here can become so dangerous because man, I could have made money. Oh, I could have made money. And just imagine how much I could have made. Right. And you put a full account onto something like this, and then you put options on it where, hey, I can make 50% in like a week. Right. Which, I've done plenty of times, made 50% in a week. I've also lost 100% of a trade in a week. Right. So, right, there's key things that I think come with this, and it's a valuable lesson. So, as much as I would love to have made the profit this week and be up, $4 or $8. Um, it's like, hey, that would have been cool. But do I care? No, I don't care. No, I don't care. Because I know that having a stop loss is crucial. Now I may adjust and say, okay, well, maybe I was a little too hasty with my stop loss up high. So, okay, there's an EMA right here. Maybe I wait till it gets below that, right? And if I can make that risk reward work, perfect. But if not, then that's fine, right? I can take a stop, and sometimes this is going to happen. And as long as you keep your emotions in check and become, kind of not entirely detached because you want to be taking good trades, you want to be, aware of it. It's good to celebrate your wins when you get a good trade, but it's good to be able to detach yourself emotionally from the trade and realize, hey, one trade is not going to make or break me. My goal is not to make $1,000 in a trade or $10,000 in a trade or $30,000 in a trade. My goal is to become a consistent good trader and a good investor where over time I can make money, and really end up supporting life throughout the course of 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, in my case 60, 70, 80 years. So yeah, I mean that's kind of what's going on here. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. I know that's a long conversation about this, but this is such a crucial thing that I just don't want people to miss. Because yeah, I've seen traders do this wrong, right? I've heard the stories. I've done this wrong in the past, right? Perhaps not with such big numbers as I've been talking about, but like I've done this wrong where I just let it go and let it go and let it go, and then I'm like, wow, gosh, dang it, there goes $200 out of a $500 trade, right? So anyway, stop loss is absolutely critical. So yeah, kind of a fun trade to show how dangerous it can be not to have stop losses and why you need to have a good trading plan in place as you approach trades, especially as a beginner. But I mean, even going into options, going into leverage things like having a trading plan, having a stop loss, having a set amount of risk in place is, I think, always critical. I think, if you're trading and you don't know how to control risk, then you should not be trading, right? If you're in a trade, you should know what your risk looks like. You should be able to control and mitigate and manage that risk. Um, and I think, if you can do that and you can come up with a winning strategy and then, do it over time, repeatedly, consistently, reliably, then that's how you become a good trader. That's how you become a good investor. And that's how you make wealth trading and grow wealth investing over the long term. So, anyway, there you go. Interesting trade of the week this week. NEE, Next Era Energy, and a second stop loss before it made its profitable run. So yeah, kind of a fun one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and we will of course see you again next Monday. And hey, if this is interesting, if you guys like seeing this stuff, subscribe to the channel, right? Turn on that notification bell. Let me let me know you're on here. Say hi. Let me know what you're interested in terms of trading. I'd love to have a conversation with you. So until next time, happy trading and happy investing.